I didn't want to have the conversation about whether or not I needed to go to the doctors again. I didn't want people to worry about me. I just wanted to sit down and just pretend it wasn't happening. I think for about 3 months I was quite unwell, and I just kept ignoring all of the signs. I was just about to go overseas for work, and I had an episode in the garage at Darren's mum's house where it actually collapsed. And I tried to do it quietly because I didn't want everyone to know how unwell I was. And I thought I'd collapsed quietly, but I didn't. And Darren came running out, and I had a fever, I had stomach pains, I was nauseous.
3 days before we went
Yeah.
to New York and Canada.
Yeah, and then he wanted to tell his auntie who was in the house upstairs, because she's a nurse, and I wouldn't let him tell her. He wanted to ring an ambulance, but I wouldn't let him do that. And all I committed to doing at that point was going back to the doctor, which I did 2 days later. The day before, I was heading over to the UN for a conference. And the doctor was concerned at that time, but I just said to her, look, I don't have time to do these tests, so I'm heading overseas tomorrow. Just give me something, and when I come back, I'll come back and see you. And so I did make that appointment. We went overseas, travelling, long distance, and then it didn't improve. I wasn't as sick as what I had been when I'd collapsed, but I was uncomfortable the whole trip. And so when I came back to New Zealand, I reluctantly still went to that doctor's appointment. It was really only because Darren convinced me that I had to go, that I did go. And then the next morning I had an event, and then I was supposed to be flying to Wellington, and I was on my way to the airport, and I got a call from the doctor to say that my blood tests had come back, and given my symptoms, it was quite concerning. She didn't say what she thought it was on the phone. She just told me it was urgent. And she said I needed to go immediately to get a scan. They did the scan, and they said after going through it that actually this is an emergency, we're going to ring an ambulance now. You've got quite a serious ectopic pregnancy, and we need to get you over to North Shore Hospital immediately. They operated first thing the next morning, and they had to remove the whole fallopian tube. The specialists were just saying how incredibly lucky I was, and that it could have ruptured at any time. And particularly given the fact that I'd been on these long haul flights, it made me realise how dangerous the situation I'd put myself in. I really could have died on one of those flights. And I could have done quite silently, probably, given how I'd responded to the symptoms prior to that. There were so many things going through both our minds at the time. It was the fact that we were even pregnant, we didn't know, and that we'd lost a child. The fact that I'd been at risk for such a long time and had no idea, and feeling quite stupid, really, for ignoring all the health issues. When it happened, I didn't want to talk about it at all, and in fact we kept it quite private. I told the WIP's office, I told our leader, Jacinda, of course, and our close family and close friends, but we didn't want to share information about that. We didn't want people to know. We were just working our own way through it. But we talked more about it at the end of last year, and the fact that it was a really good example of why, I'm going to say, all of us, but women in particular, busy women, who often feel that need to put on a front and to be strong for the rest of the family, to not show weakness in the workplace. I felt that it was a really good story to share, to remind people that actually our health has to come first. When you've got a demanding job, you want to show that you can still do everything, and that you can do everything well, and you don't want anyone to think otherwise. And so you put a lot of pressure, I guess, on yourself to juggle all those balls really well, but eventually you drop one. Yeah, because we're all only human.